Hi, folks. It is the annual Skeeter Boats Tournament on Lake Fork. Skeeter Boat Owners Tournament on Lake Fork. So I'm going to give you a report, lake conditions, some good ideas. It's a big tournament, so there's a lot of boats. But the good thing is this year, there is a lot of cover in the water as opposed to last year when we didn't have any cover in the water, just stumps and beach. This year we have lots of cover to throw at, a lot more water, and I don't know if it's making the fish more spread out or if it's just summertime. There's still fish in that brush and they're not grouped out deep yet. But that's the way I'm feeling about it. Still early in the morning, I'm catching some fish topwater. The frog bite's kind of going away for me. Still can get a few. If it's cloudy and rainy and windy, that helps the frog bite. The Czar spook bite's been a little bit better for me than a frog bite. I do want to let you in on a frog that I was introduced to, I guess, a couple of months ago now, and it's been a winner for me. And it's made by Toad Thumper, a new tackle company from Cody Cannon, Whiskey Myers. Has designed a frog and got it on the market. They're at Lake Fork Resort. I don't know if Lake Fork Marina has it, and definitely Oak Ridge has them. But it's called a Toad Thumper. This is the poppin' version. And I have what I call the slick nose, but the non-poppin' version. I don't know if you can see that. I've caught a lot of fish on these. They've got a good bone color. They pop, they walk. I didn't bend the hooks out on these yet, and they're hooking up fish real good. So, new frog on the market. Really, really works good. I'm tickled pink to have it. Got black, a bone, got black. I got a new shad color the other day. I don't know where I put it. It's still in the truck. But that's the frog. And then, of course, is our spook. Always a good topwater lure. We're kind of still early in the summer. Water's 80, 85 degrees. Main Lake points. A bunch of these points have beanie trees on them or willow trees. And early, you can get a fish to come out and eat as our spook or your favorite walking lure. That's working early. And then and I'm chasing the wind. If I'm fishing, I want to get more bites, I'm going to be kind of finding the windier shorelines. A, it's more comfortable for us, and B, it moves things around and gets fish positioned that you can catch them. That really goes for fishing this shoreline brush that we have. And in the wind, this little flashy swimmer, it's a 3/0 flashy swimmer with a Grande Bass 3.8 kickback shad on it. This has been a player for me near everywhere, this spring and summer, shallow. And what's good about this is it comes through the brush real well. And the cover. I'm running this on 15-pound line, 15-pound mono. I can usually handle what we need to handle with that. But this is a really good setup. Little shad color, kickback shad, real easy to rig. This flashy swimmer has just a screw lock. Thread it on. And then bring your hook through. Voila. There, you're ready. So covering shallow grass, there's a lot of grass on the water, and there's a lot of fish in them, and there's some big ones in there. So if you're new to the lake or haven't been fishing the lake a lot, or you're from out of town, you can cover shallow water and catch the fish you need. You can catch an over and you can catch unders. Just going down grass lines, fishing things, you're going to pick it up. If you're swimming, a swim bait, topwater frog over them, if it's kind of top water type environment weather wise, and then you can good old fashioned flipping in beanie trees or flipping in shallow brush. Any one of the little brim baits, that's a good technique to cover water with. Get some bites. This is my heavier cover flipping bait. It's a Grande bass, Mega Claw, and I've got it on a 3/8 ounce weight with a 3/0 hook for heavier cover flipping. Boat docks. Now, you know, with today's technology, we have forward scanning sonar, forward facing sonar. You can go up and look under docks, and if there's a fish there, if you can get a lure to him, you can catch him. So I think with a tournament that has this many boats in it, scanning under boat docks might be a good option. People put a lot of brush piles out when the lake was low. They did a lot of grooming, and they put a lot of brush piles out. And right now, brush piles, and most any time, brush piles are going to hold big fish. At one point in time, there's going to be a big fish around that. Hey, Lexi. Hey, BJ. Hey, tell me if the audio is good on this. But brush piles, we're fishing, we're grinding, we're at the Skeeter Owners Tournament, and we need to catch a fish, and the fish just aren't biting everywhere. I mean, you've got to work for these fish. Thanks, BJ. Hey, Perry. Thanks, Lexi. Bites aren't going to come easy. I don't think running around and burning a lot of gas is going to be good in this tournament. I think if you can buckle down, get in an area and fish, you're going to have better chances of bringing a fish to the scale. The whole lake has flooded cover everywhere from one end to the other. So I think that's going to help spread out the boats, and it's going to give anglers a lot of things to fish at, and there's fish in it. But as far as from shallow water boat docks and the flooded grasses we have, you know, when it gets sunnier out, good old-fashioned drop-offs or points or humps, it's always a go-to this time of the year for the Skeeter Owners Tournament. The spots that have trees on them, underwater trees, are holding more fish right now as far as I can tell. My kind of slick spot areas, they're not really playing until later in the day, probably after tournament hours. But spots that have more trees on them are holding fish better. You know, your 10 to 25 foot water drops, humps, pond dams, points. And with that, if I'm fishing trees, it's hard to beat. I mean, this is kind of old fashioned, but a Texas rigworm with a 10-inch worm. So you can throw it in those trees, drop it down into them, or maybe they're suspended in the tree. You can look at them with your forward facing sonar. If they're suspended, you're bringing this worm up a tree, you could get a big bite doing that. Texas rig for the trees. or a regular flipping jig. And then for your, and it doesn't even have to be deep. It can be out on a point just in front of the brush. This is not my Carolina rig. I was going to bring up a Carolina rig. This is my, I do have a weightless worm rod for a rattlesnake or a fluke, dropping in a shallow cover. That's been one of the reasons we got this on. A big weightless. This is the big weightless fluke. Going through the brush, or if a fish blows up, we've got a weightless fluke tied on, dart bait, ready to go. Then on your flatter, rounder points, or areas that don't have a lot of trees, a shaky head. Good old-fashioned round ball shaky head. This is a half ounce with a 9-inch trick worm on it, 3/0 hook. This way, so you can drag it on the bottom, and it's gonna lift. When you're dragging a football head, it lifts it and brings the worm up to attract them from further away. So that's a slow, out on into points, humps technique. I mean, the point is you're going to need to be versatile for this tournament. My whopper ploppers they're getting dust on them. They haven't been playing a lot for me, but I still have them around for early in the morning. There's some shatter flicking on the points, which I hadn't seen in a while. I always kind of keep this around. Then for your deeper fish, if you can get a crankbait down to a fish, whether it be this is a DD22, your 10 to 15 foot, or your 6XDs or your 8XDs if the fish are deeper, 20, 25 foot deep. If it's windy and cloudy, or you can some bigger fish down there and you're not getting them biting any other way, get a crankbait down to them, crank it down to them really fast, and pause it. And then crank, pause. And you could catch a tournament winner with this any crankbait really, but just getting it down to them is the important part. Making sure you position your boat to where the fish are at your apex depth of your crankbait intersects with where the fish are sitting on your graph. Crankbait. And one of my favorites in the summer is a football head jig. And I'm really fond of this one because it's my victory jig. So this is for more of the open water clay dragon points, and it'll come through trees, but it's I designed it to use the soft plastic as the brush guard. So designed it with a flat spot here, so when it hits the bottom, it stands up. And then you're dragging it along, and that gives it the action. But this way, with this design, usually on a football head, you have a brush guard here, right here. And that's supposed to keep it from getting hung up. Well, I went with a curly Q that I could put my soft plastic on to keep it weedless. Come through and then put your tip back in. And that's the way that sets. So dragging a football head jig is a real good way to catch a really big fish on Lake Fork anytime, especially this time of the year. When you're fishing shallower points, you can cast this and drag it along, kind of like a wobble head, or you're fishing a hump. or a pond dam or something, and you're really dragging along the bottom and you want a crawfish profile, this is a good bait to go. My victory jig, I actually have bought this from Finch Nasty, and I will be retailing this at Oak Ridge Marina and Lake Fork Marina, and maybe Lake Fork Resort. I've got to talk to him. This was a recent acquisition since I designed this lure, and I have a lot of faith in it. It's a really kind of a multi-use football head jig. I've got a bunch of colors, a bunch of different sizes. So look forward to that coming to retailers soon, like maybe today. I'm going to go talk to Barry here in a minute and then talk to Lake Fork Marina tomorrow. All right, so that's kind of the techniques. I haven't caught anything on this big depths swim bait yet. Not recently, but I keep it around because if a big fish chases a big shad and you want to get to something real quick, I've got this ready for him. It's really, really good looking swim bait when it's swimming in the water. Really nice. Again, kind of the same summer thing. Shallow, early warning, cover points, flooded brush, and then we get sunnier out, go out deeper, fish points, pot drop-offs, hard bottom spots, boat ramps. Let's see, what else? Oh, the lake is back up. So all the stumps we've been seeing for the last 2 years are about this far under the water, which is kind of tough on the bottom of a boat. So you'll want to take it easy when you're outside of a boat lane, just idle. Lower units are really hard to come by right now, and you don't want to be without a lower unit. I know. We have Boat Lanes product. The Boat Lanes product can help you get around the lake quite immensely, especially now that the lake's up and you can't see the stumps. And they're at Lake Fork Marina, Lake Fork Resort, Oak Ridge. You pick those up any one of those retailers. Anyway, we're about 20 minutes into this report. I think I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Welcome to Lake Fork. Good luck in the Skeeter Owners Tournament. I hope to see everyone come across the weigh-in line. There's a lot of great prizes, a boat for first place. Skeeter really puts out a good deal on a awesome tournament. They feed everyone on Saturday nights. It's going to be a big time. Hope to see you out on the lake. And good luck and big bass wishes. Signing off.